For reasons that I can't quite remember, like after my freshman year in college, I decided to spend my summer working on a farm on a fjord in Norway. Turned out I really liked it. It was very international. Crew there were like, students from a lot of places of the world that would be cycling in and out, and the work was fun and the camaraderie was good, and I kind of discovered that I liked being around people that did agriculture. And so then I went to academics and stayed there for like 25 years. But all the time I was sort of thinking, there might be something better for me. And so here I am. I am Heath Pearson, and the farm's name is Volehalla Farm. The first thing I think about when I open my eyes in the morning, even before I open my eyes, is like, okay, what do I got to do now? So it's kind of like things are very close up to my nose here, and it's kind of hard to get a big picture of it. But, it's the main thing I do. It keeps me coming back, so there's got to be something to it. Farmland doesn't come up very often around here, right? So I approached it methodically and going to the USDA soil survey, and I identified what soils in the county were the absolute primo best soils. They tend to be down by the river. So I kind of had my antenna up, and when that came up, man, I was on it instantaneously. It's class 1 soil, so it's a silt loam. Holds water okay, drains okay. It's the Goldilocks thing. It's right there in the middle. That whole area there was a dairy, as there were many dozens of in Clark County back in the old days. And the dairy broke up, I think in the 1950s or something, and actually like half of it became the southern end of the wildlife refuge. So it's all connected. I'm happy when the family is interested in the food I bring home, but if that were the only payoff for me, there would be a lot of disappointments because my kids are teenagers. It's hard to get them interested in a plate of fava beans. There are 2 and maybe only 2 crops that are in the running: asparagus and melons. They're both foods that I like to eat a lot. People grow some melons, but it's hard to do it successfully here. So having any success is like a win. And similarly with asparagus, it's a finicky crop. So those are the ones I guess I get the most satisfaction out of having some success with. Everybody's looking for a niche, right? I grow good tomatoes, but so does everybody else. So it's kind of nice to be sort of known for something and to supply something that's a little bit on the unique side. I lived in Europe for several years at various times, and I used to go out, you go to the shopping bag, and there's always a market somewhere nearby, and it's like, that place is thronging with people who are buying produce for their next meal. And that is, I think, not the way most people live their lives around here. I guess what I'm trying to say is it would make a big difference. Like, given the number of people that live around here, and the population is growing fast here, if everybody said, I want to have some vegetables on my plate 2 meals a day, that would be a total game changer for anybody that grows food around here, just because, there would be so much more demand. As the county grows, which it's definitely doing, I think it'll change qualitatively too, and the culture of a little more mindfulness about what you're putting in your body is going to grow with it, and that can't help but be a net positive for the farmers around here. It's valuable to eat seasonally because it tastes somewhat better if it's seasonal. It is nutritionally somewhat advantageous to eat seasonally. Those are true things. The carbon footprint of what you buy and eat is going to be less if you're doing it seasonally. I personally just kind of like the idea, it probably comes from my own childhood, which is that what you're thinking about eating every day has at least something to do with what's coming out of the ground in that season. I grow cover crops every winter, and that's, in some ways, it's not ideal for the Pacific Northwest because our growing season is kind of short, and it sort of eats into the growing season. But I think it's really good for the soil. It's got a lot of benefits, both in terms of productivity and biodiversity and so on. So I do that. Growing food is a long kind of pipeline. From the time you buy the seed through the planting and the weeding and the harvesting and the transporting and the selling, it's a big thing, and you can crash and burn at any step of the way. It's a nice thing to be able to sort of, as I say, kind of close the book and say, okay, job well done on that one head of broccoli that just went out the door. I wish that people that care about how the food was grown just asked about it more. As long as the line doesn't get too long, I'm happy to have a conversation with anybody about anything I do on the farm. And they can ask me like, okay, what kind of fertilizer do you use? Or do you ever spray for bugs or anything like that? And I've got a ready answer for every single one of those questions. And ask the questions about what's important to you in your food, and I will give you an answer for it. The Vancouver market, it's been a good place to meet other farmers. It's not like there's a bar where all the farmers go to hang out, right? So, it's a good place just to touch base with people, and you see what they're growing. You say like, well, how come your carrots are so much better than mine? And there's that impromptu exchange about that, and that's a very useful thing. And also, I've met a few chefs there, and so it's kind of like a clearinghouse for social interaction. I mean, that's a useful aspect of it that might not be obvious to people. I moved here when I was already middle-aged, and at a time when most people are pretty focused on family, job, that kind of thing. Going to the farmer's market is a good chance to just have casual interactions with a lot of people, which is something that I probably would not be doing much of otherwise. So I value it for that reason. Having a chat, like at the market, with somebody who I would not have had any occasion to come face-to-face with otherwise, and just sort of touching base and acknowledging that we're both people and we each bring something to the table in terms of living together in a place. I think that's really valuable. I've got a number of customers, not a huge one, but a meaningful to me number of customers who pretty much go to the market every time I'm there, and they always buy from me, and that's reassuring. The idea of just being sort of a regular presence there, and especially like on a rainy day, of which there are a number here, it's not only a source of income, but it actually makes you feel better if you know that you did your half of the quote-unquote bargain, and then somebody else, by actually showing up to the market on whatever day it is, however ungodly hot or wet or whatever it is, they show up as well. That's emotionally reassuring, above and beyond whatever the economic impact is.